Yeah, I see you're here for a story. Well, let me tell you a little of the Viking Age. By the Viking Age, I do of course mean an age of exploration and traders and crafters and raiders and invaders. For hundreds of years, the sight of a long, lean Viking warship, a longship, or a drakkar, a dragon ship, well, that would send people fleeing and hiding, because we noble travellers would appear without warning, strike without mercy, taking anything of value to us, which included food and livestock and of course people, and then return to our homes. But the crew of a longship was not big. It was perhaps 30 or 40 people, and losing even a handful of those meant that sailing the ship back, particularly if the seas got rough, could be a tricky proposition indeed. So many places, particularly the bigger towns, would have both sufficient soldiers that raiding them meant that you might lose some of your own men. Victory would of course be certain, or near certain, but that the offer of being paid to avoid having to have a fight was very attractive indeed. Perhaps the best example of this came around the year 845 or thereabouts, where Charles the Bald, King of France, that's bald, no hair, not bold, that's a very different Charles. Well, he offered a Viking by the name of Ragnar a great deal of money to take his men and to leave. They'd travelled all the way up the Seine, they'd attacked Paris, they'd besieged it, and they were offered 7,000 silver livres, about 2.5 tons of silver, and made up in gold equivalent thereof, some 5,670 English pounds, just to go away. To go away and never come back. Well, Ragnar and his horde, we took that money, but you can imagine the story spread, and a rich kingdom that's prepared to pay that much to not fight, that's a very appealing prospect. About 70 years later, the year 911, another Viking was outside Paris and was offered something to go away, but not to go away and not come back, to go away and stay there. You see, Rollo, the ancestor of a man named William, was offered land and eventually settled on Normandy as a place for him and his followers to live and to be a barrier between Paris and other Vikings. Well, it was a good suggestion, because the Loire and the Seine, the two great rivers, were entryways right into the heart of France, and these fierce Scandinavians, these fierce Norsemen, who would come to become known as fierce Normans, were an effective barrier. So effective that 150 years later, the descendant of Rollo, one William, Duke of Normandy, would bring his longships and his hundreds of followers, his thousands of knights, soldiers, professional fighters, across the Channel to England. But the story of William and his followers and 1066 and the invasion of England and the Battle of Hastings is a story for another day. But do remember, when you hear that story, that his legacy really is one descended from Vikings.